Paramount Pictures would like to know if you believe in Santa Claus.
Hello and welcome. The mood doesn't seem right this year.
You're Santa, you are the mood.
Because one family...
Santa. Fat face, bad clothes, won't shave. What loser got dipped in sugar and dreamed him up?
doesn't even believe in Christmas.
Did you see this?
There have always been the one or two who don't like Christmas.
My. So many names crossed off.
Now the man in red is thinking of hanging up his boots.
I'm going to Hawaii for Christmas like everybody else.
And if Christmas is to be saved, Santa's gonna need a little persuading.
Dad, there must be some way for you to give this one more chance. What if I could make a family's name who's been crossed off the list reappear as it was?
Please. These mortals are a disaster.
You're the new au pair?
I'm here to help.
Isn't that just like my baby sister?
Starring Kathy Ireland.
We've got to make her understand that we don't want her here.
I know what you two are doing.
She's crazy.
Mary Donnelly Haskell.
My time is nigh.
John Dye.
Do you believe in Santa Claus?
This could be serious.
And Douglas Campbell as Santa Claus.
Everything will be all right. It's not Christmas Eve in Hawaii. There's still time.
Once Upon a Christmas.
Welcome back. We are here for yet another stocking stuffer and a retro, a classic, a vintage, a 22-year-old movie at that. I can't handle something like that on my own. It takes a lot out of me. I needed to bring in somebody for this episode who has a very classic sense about them. Somebody who can appreciate things of the past and, you know, really find the light in them. And that is, of course, the one and only Keith Allison. Keith, welcome.
Ho, ho, ho. Christmas is canceled.
Yep, going to Hawaii. Bye. That's the episode right there. Ooh. Oh, Keith, it is wonderful to have you. You are a writer, a very, very talented, witty person, and you are not a stranger to the show. We have had you on a year ago? 2 years ago?
Are we counting the lockdown years?
What is time? What is time? We can just reverse it if we find a book about how to do that, like Kathy Ireland does in this movie. But yes, you have heard Keith on the podcast before, and you will hear him again, including today, where we talk about 2000, the year 2000, Once Upon a Christmas.
So I'm not the historian of Christmas movies that you are, but that 2000, this has to be, like, this is early cycle, right?
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
And
pioneering film.
Yeah, we're going through different streaming sites. I like to try to find a variety for the show, so we're not doing the same Hallmark story over and over again. And I can't remember how I started. I think I was just looking at Amazon Prime because I hadn't watched anything on there yet. And this title comes up pretty quickly. I see the pedigree behind it. I see, okay, I know Kathy Ireland. So there's somebody I know in the movie. Not personally, but, you know, I've seen Alien from LA. Who amongst us hasn't? I bought her Kmart line for a while. And then I noticed the director is Timur Tavax. I'm sure I'm saying his name wrong. No, Takacs.
I've never said his name out loud for just that reason.
I mean, there's an accent over the second half of Takas, so Takas, right?
The director of The Gate.
And I, Madman, which we covered a few months ago. And during that said, like, what's this guy up to? Like, he did The Gate, he did I, Madman, like, you know, good horror director, like an interesting point of view. Oh, he's just done Christmas and Hallmark movies for the last 30 years. And this is 2000. I didn't realize it was 2000 until I started the movie and was like, and then pulled it up on IMDb. I must have not been wearing my glasses when I picked it because I just did not realize. I think I probably saw it as like 2008. And 2000 it is. It's not, the formula hadn't been crystallized. This was made for TV. It aired it initially, I think, on the PAX network. It got shuffled around. It's since aired on Hallmark and ABC Family and all of those. But what is fascinating to me about this is that this is pre-formula. Like this, I mean, there is a romance, but it takes a little while to even realize that's what this movie is doing. And yet, it pretty much does hit every one of the points that we talk about, does it not?
It does, and I think you can still detect faint traces of his background in horror. There's strange stuff that happens in this, and some kind of, like, the more you dwell on it, like, disturbing
the more
thing.
dark. Oh yeah.
Although to me the most disturbing thing is starting this movie up and seeing the logo for an actual movie studio.
Yeah, the Paramount stars come up, and it's weird, folks. It is very unsettling when that happens. And the movie starts, and then it's even more unsettling, is it not?
It's very strange. So I don't watch a lot of Christmas movies. I have a contentious relationship with them, but I live with someone who a couple years ago, sort of during the pandemic, stuck at home, just started watching all of them. So I've had kind of a crash course in the past couple of years. And yeah, this one, there's a lot of strange ones. They get it, but this one, like, there's something sort of you can't quite express the weirdness of it, but it's definitely there.
I mean, part of its cheapness is that it feels really budget. And look, it's the year 2000, so it was filmed for a different technology, if you will. Like, this was not meant to air on a flat screen, I don't think. Because there's things like that. The lighting is weird. The costuming is horrific. It is quite Canadian. But yet, it's not just that. It's not just the way this movie was made being, like, lower budget. There's just some weird shit going on, is there not? Why don't we go through kind of a rough plot synopsis? Can you tell me what happens in this movie?
So I can. And so when I write about movies professionally, I don't take notes. But for this one, I filled up a couple pages.
Nice.
And partially just to work through. So to kick things off, what I have is Santa upset by internet trolls.
The year 2000 internet trolls.
Quits Christmas.
Yep.
Decides he's going to go to Hawaii. It's over. Everyone's on the naughty list anyway, so who cares? So he has a good daughter, Kathy Ireland.
Whose name is Kristen.
Kristen Kloss, and an evil daughter named Rudolpha,
which for me was really upsetting. I don't know why. I was just very, very perturbed imagining, like, Santa and Mrs. Claus having a child and saying, okay, we have our first child. She's a daughter. It's a girl. Let us name her something seasonal. Okay, we'll name her after the reindeer that got us to the hospital in time. We'll name her Rudolpha. And
that's nothing compared to when they lash her up and make her work like a reindeer. But that's spoiler.
I mean, yes, definitely a case of clearly seeing who the favorite child is. But then, like 2 years later, they have another kid, and they're like, okay, what do we name this one? Kristen. Like, well, what's the most popular name this year? Kristen. Oh yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah.
But so anyway. Kristen wants to convince her dad that humanity is worth saving and we need Christmas. Rudolpha is all too happy to have her dad retire. She wants to take over and turn Christmas into a gag gift holiday, which is not that far from what it is for a lot of people anyway.
I mean, which also kind of sounds great.
Yeah, it didn't sound. We're gonna pepper the world with whoopee cushions and take bombs. I was like, all right. But anyway, to save Christmas, Kristen has to journey from the North Pole and visit one of the families on the naughty list and convince them to be good, so that they go onto the nice list. And then Santa will cancel or come back from.
He'll leave the White Lotus in order to go deliver gifts.
And so then off she goes to Canada to try and help what I refer to as a G to light PG naughty family.
Yeah, that's appropriate. Yeah, the Morgans. We have a dad who is if I had to name him something, I'm just gonna name him Business Dad.
Yes.
Right? Or I'm sorry, I should amend that. Well, his first name is Business, his middle name is Deal, his last name is Dad. Business Deal Dad. Because he says business deal about every other line of this movie. And he is widowed, so therefore, work is really important, and he's been neglecting his 2 shitty kids, who were shitty but kind of awesome. I kind of liked how shitty they were.
They're pretty low-key shitty also. Like, they're not that bad.
Yeah. But it's a good time. She goes down there, she's their nanny, assumes the role very quickly, and one of those cases where you're like, wow, these people are very responsible to just let this woman in their house, even though there's no evidence that she is actually a nanny, and indeed she is not. At first it is pretty tough, right? The kids are playing pranks on her because they're trying to get her away. So then I guess they get expelled, and Dad has a business deal that he has to go to, so that he just takes everybody with him because he can't leave them at home alone. And along the way, their car breaks down and they move into an abandoned house. They start squatting?
It is one of the most well-stocked abandoned cabins out in the middle of the woods. I mean, there's trees, there's lights, there's beans, a cellar full of food.
Yep.
Which they immediately start eating, having no idea what
don't leave a note. I took it as like a survivalist who was living there and then died in the woods, maybe. And they're just like, whoa, great, the oven is still hot. Like, not thinking to actually see, like, oh, does somebody actually live here? And they're there.
I was expecting Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs.
I'm thinking of like the guy from Wolf Creek just one day walking and be like, who the fuck is in my house? Oh well, that's the sequel that we'll write, because there is a sequel. That there is Twice Upon a Christmas. So I'll assume that the third one would have been that story. So they live there for what seems like an awfully long time. And then let's see, there's a fire in the house. Kristen, well, this is a very strangely paced fire. Would you agree?
Everything about this movie is strangely paced.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really casual sort of fire.
The biggest threat is that it's going to burn the tree topper, which is like, the mother's family tree topper. And so everybody's out of the house, and then the little girl runs into the house, and then the dad runs in the house to get her, and then Kathy Ireland runs in the house, and then Kathy Ireland runs out of the house. It's just a lot of like, something, you forget how important geography is in staging a film. And it's something that, as much as like The Conjuring as a movie doesn't work fully for me, but I have to always bring that up as a movie that is brilliantly laid out in terms of geography. You know where everything is, to the point to where when you hear a noise, you look in the direction because you know where that noise is in that house. Mm-hmm. And in this movie, it is very confusing where anybody is at any given time and where the fire even is. And it doesn't matter much, because it's the magic of the North Pole is that if you are, what is it, like if you're a Claus or if you are from the North Pole, you have this ability.
Yeah, if you're from the North Pole. And I do like, the geography is like the inside of the Overlook Hotel.
Yes.
Like kids will wander off into the woods and
then come up the basement.
And then they'll be like, where are they? And then they'll look out the window and they're like 3 feet away. Yeah. As far as I can tell, the magic, because Kristen Claus does have magic powers. She's immortal, maybe.
Sure.
She can teleport. She can stop time. She doesn't use any of these really to help anyone very much.
No, not at all.
Including the fact that they're stranded in the middle of the woods with no food, no winter clothes, no communications. 2000, so there's only one cell phone.
And there was a cell phone in this movie, and it gets broken. Yeah.
And she can teleport, but nah.
Yeah, let him brave it out a little bit.
Yeah, so I don't know. The distribution of magic powers among the citizens in the North Pole, I don't know.
So they gave it all to the Easter Bunny.
Nothing in the North Pole makes sense. I mean, you've got Santa, who starts the movie in his underwear,
As you do,
and then gets dressed, but somehow looks even more undressed than when he was in his underwear. The Tooth Fairy and the Easter Bunny live with Santa.
They do.
But none of the other holidays get to live with it.
And the Easter Bunny, we should say, this movie began, and my notes were, oh my god, we're watching the kids' version of The Wicker Man. Because the opening shot is a limbo contest, and I just think of that, like, to me, the greatest scene of The Wicker Man, it is not the finale, it is that, how do you describe it? When each character is dressed up in a costume, and they're jumping... Yeah, it's the parade, and it's like every time you think one of them might get beheaded, and just the tension in that, and like, I really thought this horrific Easter Bunny was going to just rip his face off and eat Kathy Ireland. I don't know. It was terrifying.
Yeah, the Easter Bunny it's literally a store-bought, like, grocery store costume.
It's kind of, if you've ever been to, like, for me, it was the Sunvet Mall, which recently closed. Like, the mall that wasn't really a mall, right? The mall that had, like, maybe that one good store, and then every other store was constantly for rent, and they brought in an Easter Bunny. Like, that's this Easter Bunny.
Yeah, it was not great. It gave me flashbacks to the movie Santa Claus and the Ice Cream Bunny, which, if you've seen, you know. If you haven't seen, don't rush out. Not even for a fun time. Should you watch that movie? But yeah, the North Pole is weird. The magic powers are.
Because what is ultimately the trade-off? Is she gives up her powers to save the kid from the smoke, or it's like, oh, now she doesn't have her powers, or she just doesn't have a connection to the North Pole anymore? It's very The Little Mermaid too.
So she to save the kid, she has to give up her immortality to transfer her life force into him, so she becomes just a regular woman, which I guess is good for the romantic angle.
I mean, good thing that she was named Kristen and not Rodolpha, because that would have been a little awkward.
And also, just for the hell of it, you get amnesia as well, so she won't remember anything about Santa or the North Pole or her best friend, Tooth Fairy, unless maybe, just maybe, if you really believe, it'll come back to you.
Do you think they made this movie knowing they were going to make a sequel?
I don't know.
You know, it's a lot to leave hanging.
Yeah, I admit I haven't ventured into the sequel, so I don't know if they actually follow through with plot threads or just start a new. Because this movie, by the way, ends with a ton of weird dangling plot threads.
Yep.
It ends like an old kung fu movie. Where it's like you land the final blow on the villain and he goes flying back and then it just freeze frames.
The credits just go. Yep.
There's no resolution or anything. It ends like she saved the kid's life, but they've just burned down this
stranger's home.
Cabin.
Yep.
They're still stranded in the woods. They still have no car. Santa gives them a cell phone, but I don't know if he hooked them up with service.
Right. He still has no business deal.
Yeah. There's a whole other character who, his business partner / possible romantic interest, who he just leaves high and dry.
Yeah, which is kind of a dick move.
She's not a villain or anything. She's just trying to make a living with this weirdo that she's gone into business with. So as far as I know, like, she goes off on her own, maybe she completes the business deal, and this family is still huddled by this burning cabin out in the middle.
I will say, the sequel started playing right after this movie ended, so I watched about the first 5 minutes, and then I had to go. And the way it started was presumably 1 year later, and Kristen was living with the family, and it seemed that first I thought it opens with the dad proposing to her, but it seems as if it's 1 year later, so it means that was she just living at the house as his nanny / lover? What is the payment structure going on? There's a lot of questions about ethics. Again, this keeps coming up about when you have romantic relationships, but there is also a, commerce element to them. Whatever floats your boat, but I don't know. It just feels like somebody is getting screwed, not necessarily literally.
Yeah, and you're a magical being with absolutely no past. Kristen Claus, like, what is the status of your 1099s?
Oh boy, think of that, yeah. And also, like, you're Kathy Ireland, and you're really hot, and you have this is the life you've chosen, you know? Right? Not judging, but she could have done better, I'm going to say.
Yeah, I wonder, because at the end of this movie, I feel like no one learned a lesson. They talk about lesson, like the family is supposed to, like, the dad's supposed to be more present for his kids, and yet he has this revelation like 4 times. They talk about it, and then after every time he has this revelation, like his troubled son will run off into the woods
That happens a lot
night by himself, and it's like, should I go after him? Nah, I should
no. He needs to think about it himself.
So he remains unpresent.
Yeah,
the kids are jerks right up until the end, and like they try and save each other from a fire, but like, that's not really sustainable goodness, you know? That's
no, because eventually you're not going to save somebody from a fire. Kathy Ireland only has one magical life to give.
Yeah. So yeah, plenty of story left to
Indeed.
tell.
So yeah, they did continue. So let's lead that into our list. So going into the main tropes of these movies, number 1 is the female lead in need of a lesson. Or sometimes she is the female lead who, if she is wonderful, instead she is teaching the lesson. And I would argue that we have the latter in this case. Would you agree?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Something I found odd. Kristen, did you notice some of the jewelry she wore?
I didn't.
Okay. She wears a necklace. I'm guessing it's from the Kathy Ireland Kmart collection.
Would assume.
It is a, like, diamond cross, which, again, opens up a lot of doors of confusion for, like, is like, Santa Claus Christian? Does the North Pole, like, celebrate Christmas as the birth of Christ? How does that fuel Santa? I don't know. I don't know why that bugged me so much, but it really did.
You know, there was a bearded old man at the North Pole, which I was assuming he was Father Time, but maybe it was Jesus.
Oh, maybe it was God. God hangs out with the Easter Bunny. They play poker on Thursdays. Yeah, I guess also it's one of those things that where some of the year 2000 pre-Cozy Cardigan Christmas rhythm shows up, because you don't some of the movies will be a little Jesus-y, but usually not on the main networks. Typically that's like the Up Network, or now the stupid Candace Cameron one. Like, usually these movies don't want to lean into any religion. Like, they will sing Silent Night, and there might be a manger, but they are very cautious about, like, leaning too far into something that, even if it, we're not, making these for the atheists, but the really hardcore Christian might be mad that we're doing the manger wrong. So you just don't see it that often. So it was just really jarring to see it, like, in full view on her neck. How did you like Kathy Ireland in this movie?
I thought she was pleasant.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not a great actress, but she's not a bad actress. I thought she had some charisma. She was, and I quote myself, aggressively kind. Really far beyond how kind anyone should be. But I thought she was, especially compared to the dad, a perfectly charming lead. Yeah,
I was surprised by how kind of pleasantly she fit in this role and in this universe, because it made me surprised to watch and think, like, I'm surprised she hasn't done more of these movies, just because she really, she's Kathy Ireland. She looks great. She looks great on camera, but she does hold herself well in this, and I mean, most of the time she is acting against brick walls, and she is still pretty charming. But I mean, I didn't know. I knew of Kathy Ireland from Alien in LA, and a little bit of knowing that she has quite a business empire. But holy shit, does she have a business empire? She apparently is a billionaire. She started with that small Kmart line, and it turned into now this absolute. It is in every store. She does furniture. She has figured out a way to make quite a living for herself. So good on you, Kathy.
So I guess she was sort of the second generation of supermodels.
Yeah.
Sort of after Cheryl Tiegs. But that generation her and Cindy Crawford and Heidi Klum, they all, it turns out, had quite a bit of business sense.
They were smart about it, very much.
None of them are hurting. All of them, well, Kathy Ireland, she's not so much in the public eye now, as far as I know, but they've remained relevant in various ways.
Yeah, which, I mean, is the smart thing to do. And I think you see that a lot now with, like, younger celebrities in different ways, where immediately, as soon as they turn 21, they're like, okay, I'm going to produce. I'm not just going to act. Okay, I'm going to find a company to invest in. Like, and for models, I mean, for years, it was probably, you know, the truth about that industry was you have a shelf life, and by the time you're 27, you better start, you know, finding a rich husband or something to invest in. And I think Kathy Ireland, I don't know that she was the first, but she was one of the most prominent to be really aggressive about learning what she could do and what she could put her name on, but also, like, what was the right industry, what was the right market. And I think, like, I was reading up on her because I'm like, is she a good one or a bad one? Apparently, like, some of her politics aren't great, but also, like, she has done a lot of philanthropy. So it's one of those mixed bags, but hey, as a businesswoman, I give my respect to her, so we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Now, number 2 is our setting. A big bad city, charming small town, magical winter wonderland. Well, we also have, like, the wilderness of this house, but I think more importantly, we need to, you know, we've said a lot about it, but that magical winter wonderland, man. Wow.
Magical or disturbing winter wonderland.
Terrifying, yeah. North Pole / Summer's Isle is how I wrote it. It's a lot going on. There.
And it's a creepiness that it may strike you immediately, but it might not. But it will sort of grow on you. You'll lie awake at night.
Yep.
And you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not so much a small town as it is just a Canadian suburb.
Canadian suburb, definitely. Yeah.
Oh wait, I'm sorry, Denver. What, weren't they in Denver or something?
Sure. Oh,
Seattle?
I'm sorry. I think you meant to say I'm sorry. Weren't they in Denver? Yes. Now, number 3 is our bland love interest, and in this case, we get a combination because normally we have either poor little rich boy or widow dad who, you know, has a soul and a heart and works with his hands. In this case, you get widow dad who sort of is the poor little rich boy kind of thing. Like, he needs to learn a lesson. He's obsessed with business.
He's got business deals.
He
owns a cell phone.
He owns a cell phone, which in the year 2000 was a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Well, and God, I don't know. Like, I didn't like him. I just didn't like the idea that he was immediately kind of trying to seduce the nanny.
Yeah.
Right? Like, their first sort of, like, romantic moment, like, they've been squatting in this, you know, abandoned home, and, like, she wakes up and he's looking at her in that, like, creepy way that men look at women, and she's like, what is it? He's like, oh, I shouldn't say. She's like, what is the line? It's something like, oh, you're just so beautiful when you sleep, or something, and, like, ugh.
Yeah, I could go on a 20-minute rant about the I was just watching you sleep thing that so many movies and screenwriters seem to think is romantic, and it's really not. I mean, look, hey, if it's between you and your significant other, if that's your thing, that's cool, but
I was watching you sleep, and that CPAP, just the way it moves up and down on your face, and I can see the imprint, it's digging into your lip. Yeah, I mean, that's my husband and I say that to each other every morning. So, yeah. Now, number 4 is the montage, which later movies would go on to use a lot more. In this one, not so many. Did you clock any?
I don't recall any montages, no.
Yeah, the only one that I would sort of put in that group is because it goes on forever, because again, it also felt like they were padding the running time. There is a flashback to this family's last happy Christmas, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like foggy lighting, and there's no speaking. It's like music, and everybody is smiling, and it's like wrapping presents. So I guess it's more foggy flashback, but that's kind of the best we can do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, number 5, dead parents or dead wife.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Dead mom. Is there even a picture of this woman?
I feel like there was a picture somewhere, but yeah, dead mom and a dead inside dad.
Yes, and there was a picture of her because I thought this was weird. Every woman in this movie except for Kristen is blonde, including the picture of the mother. So I wondered, I'm like, oh, is that a thing? Because like it seemed like blonde was like the evil color, except it was also the mother.
Yeah. That seemed to be just in general the color of Christmas movies for a very long time.
That's very true.
Was blonde.
Yeah. Now number 6 is our sassy sidekick. I would argue we have two. Who did you call out as the sassy sidekick?
Well, the Kristen Claus's best friend, the Tooth Fairy.
Oh my gosh, this Tooth Fairy.
Yeah, who drifts between sassy and just sort of weirdly earnest and melancholy. And
she's got a lot of shit going on, definitely.
Yeah, and again, hangs out with Santa Claus.
Yeah. I mean, you would recognize this woman. It's Liz Torres, is the actress. She has been around forever. She's been in a million things. Question for you, and I'm like trying to figure it out. I'm like, trying to Google it, and I can't find it. Is her like? Does she have a lisp, or was that a character choice?
I don't know. I wondered that also, and I couldn't find anything. But I think maybe just someone thought it would be hilarious.
It could make sense.
Had a lisp,
right? Like the two, I mean, if you have weird teeth, sometimes like that does compromise your ability to make S sounds. I know, I grew up that way, but like she really leans into it to where like I was glad I had the subtitles on.
Yeah.
We have another sassy sidekick.
A possible second sassy sidekick. Who would you say that was?
I thought I'm just gonna call. I don't know the character name, so I'm gonna call him Uncle Buck because that's what he felt like.
Oh, I meant to mention, the weird swingers era. That's the movie, although he in his like
bowling shirt. Yeah. Yeah, it's the dad's brother. No, it's not the dad's brother. It's the dad's brother-in-law, right? He was the mother's brother.
The mother's brother.
And like he doesn't have a job.
Yeah, he's kind of the lovable loser of the bunch. He's like having a third child. Every time he was on screen, I was sort of annoyed that it wasn't Patton Oswalt playing him.
Yeah. It's a weird, like, you're kind of supposed to like him, I guess, because he's pleasant. Except the entire time you're just thinking, like, no, but either you're living off this guy who has a lot of business deals and really could use your support around the house, and you're clearly doing a terrible job helping to raise these kids who are awful, and you also don't have an actual job. So what, like, I was, when the dad's like, by the way, after the holidays, you're out of here, I'm evicting you, I was on the dad's side.
Yeah, that was not an unreasonable demand. Like, I'm not the most mature or responsible adult in the world, but even I was like, my guy, come on.
Yeah, dude.
Right.
Now, number 7 is our evil. Now, here's what's interesting. Okay. Number 7 is really the villain character. Now, in most movies, it's one of two things. It's either the evil male boss or the very, like, business-driven career woman. Mm-hmm. And I feel like in the older movies, it was a woman. Quite often, the villain was a female. I think that has changed, and it doesn't come up as much. But in this movie, I would argue we have one major villain, one kind of minor villain, and both are women.
Yeah, Rudolpha obviously fulfills that. She's kind of a driven career woman.
Exactly.
She wants to take over Santa's operation. She's got big plans for
She knows how to code. She made a website.
Yeah. And I want to talk about the forward thinking nature of this film in predicting the rise.
How to destroy somebody? Just make fun of them on social media.
Yeah, but her evil schemes. I mean, again, they were sort of a light PG evil scheme.
Like, it's literally whoopee cushions.
Yeah, at least until it hardly seemed worthy of Santa
enslavement,
lashing her to like a bit and bridle and making her pull him around.
Yeah. That made me very uncomfortable. And I was shocked too that maybe I just don't know the rules about this. I thought you really couldn't cite Rudolph in anything because that was an owned property. And if you, like, when you were a kid, that like Christmas decorations, people that had like the reindeer on their lawn didn't have Rudolph because stores didn't, or, companies in producing them in China didn't make Rudolph because Rudolph is an owned property and you are violating copyright if you use his image. Now, this movie has a Rudolph. Aside from her name, like, there is a reindeer with a red nose. I thought they called him Rudolph.
I believe they expressly refer to him as Rudolph. Yeah. And also, like, now Rudolph has become a jerk also.
Yeah, Rudolph's a dick in this movie. I kind of liked that aspect of it.
I mean, the entire story of Rudolph is if you're weird, everyone will pick on you and hate you until they need something from you.
Yeah, and then you have all the power. It's a little bit like Incelli, isn't it? Yeah, that was something my sister used to do with her kids, was they always made sure, like, they didn't leave cookies for Rudolph. She would leave cookies for, like, all the 8 other reindeer. She's like, everybody leaves cookies for Rudolph, so we're going to do it for the other reindeer. Because they were all like, I'm sure, like, Blitzen, like, within that year was like, dude, Rudolph, I just want to say, I'm really sorry. I was a jerk. I went along with it, and I just regret how I acted. And then Rudolph was probably like, yeah, it's cool, man. And then, like, pulled his pants down or something. Like, that's kind of the way I see Rudolph. Like, he probably is an asshole.
It's one of those, right? The when you're bullied, you either develop empathy for others and become good, or you then turn into a bully. And this version of Rudolph definitely turned into a bully.
Yeah. And, like, there was only, like, 3 reindeer, so I also like to think that Rudolph killed the others. So then you also have, we mentioned her. What was the character's name? Was Harley. So in the beginning of this movie, Bill is, like, ready to propose to this woman, right? Or, like, he's already proposed to her. They talk about getting married. It's his business partner and his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just leaves the business deal, right? He essentially doesn't make it on time. And she calls him and he's like, yeah, well, I have my family now. She's like, yeah, but for the last, like, 5 years of our business, you haven't had a family. Now, you can't just change your mind at the last minute. And, I mean, I'm sorry, but asshole.
Yeah, I mean, right, for that character to work, it's like you really got to lay on the jerk on her. Like, make her, however...
Yeah, like, have her, I don't know, like,
really
kick a puppy. Like, yeah.
Really insensitive.
Yeah.
But this woman, like, she seems to love this dope. She works really hard at the business, potentially harder than he does. She tries to make nice with the kids.
Yeah, she tries.
Yeah, and then he's like, welcome to Dumpsville, baby.
Yeah.
And leaves her.
And doesn't even tell her he leaves her, right? He's like, oh, I don't know, the cell phone got broken. Bye.
Doesn't even explain himself. So,
man, the real victim of this movie, Harley Jones.
Yeah.
Let's see. Now, number 8 is slapstick. Any hijinks that you caught and found amusing?
I can't remember any specific. I mean, the kids both, go through a period of prank pulling to drive Kristen Kloss away.
Yep. There's one gag that I actually really thought was like, oh, that's clever. And it was even, like, staged funny where the, like, gym teacher, like, this guy, like, walks in because the kid's getting in trouble and he's like a big gym teacher-y guy, and he blows a whistle. And at first you think he's just blowing the whistle at the kid, and then the principal walks in and you realize, oh no, he glued the whistle, he put glue on the whistle, and now it's stuck to the teacher's mouth. I thought that was a good gag. And I'm like, kid, that's clever. You can go places with that.
Yeah. The comedy in this movie, and it has quite a bit. It wasn't always funny, but it
tried.
But it rarely was, like, cringeworthy or eye-rolling. It was just...
Yeah. There's a little bit of ice skating hijinks, where there's a bit of, like, a whoa, 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 as somebody's falling and that kind of thing. But, again, you expect it here. Number 9.
I thought the funny joke in that is that the dad is whoa, whoa, whoa-y. But Kristen Kloss is out there doing, like, Olympic level
Of course she is.
skiing. So,
She is a Claus. They are naturally able to do double axels. Number 9, our sage old person. You know, like we have Santa Claus, and we have people that are immortal, so they're very old. I guess Santa gives her it's not so much advice.
He kind of gives some advice in the end, but like for the most part, I mean, like Santa goes through about 3 minutes of being dejected about this website about how much Santa sucks. But then once he makes his decision, he is in.
He's in. Oh, yeah.
Through Christmas, I'm going to Hawaii. And Mrs. Claus, who you would think would be like the steadying hand or like, let's think about this, Kris Kringle. She's like, no.
Perfect. I just got a new bikini. Can't wait to try it out. Yeah. Which I kind of respect. Yeah. And that leads us to Santa Claus, number 10. And obviously we have a Santa Claus, a very thin-skinned Santa. Can you imagine Santa in the actual, like, Twitter, Reddit age, if this is how sad he gets?
Yeah, and that's what I mentioned earlier. It is somewhat forward-thinking. So 2000, year 2000, the internet has entered public consciousness, but it's still, like, Amazon's still just kind of getting off the ground.
Like, we're still doing chat rooms and AOL for the most part.
I don't think Twitter's around.
No, not yet. I mean, MySpace might have started, but nobody knew about it yet.
Yeah. So the fact that part of this movie revolves around a website that is set up for people just to shit talk Santa Claus is kind of forward. Yeah. But it also means that, like, back then, on Twitter, right, and even Facebook, you're assaulted with the negativity a lot, even if you try to cultivate it. It's just there. But back then, like, you had to actively go and set up an account and log in and then read the message board. So
Santa was looking for it.
Yeah, Santa was...
He was like Ask Jeevesing about himself all the time.
Definitely. I think he already had bought the tickets to Hawaii, and he was looking for any excuse.
Oh God, can you imagine, like, this Santa today would, like, is somebody going to make an Elon Musk version of this story? That is what I am asking. Yeah, it's horrifying.
The sad answer is probably.
It's in production at Lifetime right now.
So we have a Santa, but he's
but really do we? But do we deserve that Santa?
I mean, kind of.
yeah, that's fair. All right, so let's see the bonus round. The first thing is our public domain holiday songs. And again, I feel like this movie didn't quite understand what it had in... Like, look, Tybor, you don't have to pay for music. You just have to pull up the public domain files.
Yeah, no one's coming after you for Silent Night.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they'll come after you for Rudolph, so don't do that.
Oh no, Rudolph! Nobody can afford Rudolph.
But yeah, there were no Christmas carols older.
Not really. Yeah, there's Up on the Housetop at one point, but
no Jingle Bell Rock on the radio.
No.
There was an abundance of jaunty Christmas movie music, which I have learned, in the 22, nearly 23 years since this movie was made, hadn't changed all that much.
Yes, 100%. Because I don't think anything new went into public domain. And just in terms of style, you're right. It is the sprinkle sound effects galore in this movie. And all the same, like, not quite tuba-ness, but it's the same. You could take the soundtrack and play it, like, with your eyes closed, and I would give you a list of movies and say, which one do you think it came from? And you would guess all of them, and you'd be right. The movie, the closing credits had a song that I'm like, wait, this is a real song. It must have been the Mistletoe. Like, I've heard that song. I think Barbra Streisand does a cover of that song, so... Again, like, that's where their budget went. It didn't go to the Easter Bunny costume. It went to music.
Yeah. It's since you invoked the name of Summer Isle, the North Pole really could have used some good old fashioned Wicker Man style, like folk music.
Yep.
The winter version of Summer Is a Comin', and or the inn could have just used uh, them looking off into the woods and going, well, there's a fire. Go over there.
Oh, and don't worry, you can always jump on it's not dangerous to jump over a fire if you're naked.
Let it end, like the last scene in The Witch or Kill List.
Yeah. What a missed opportunity. Okay, the director's cut coming for the 25th anniversary, so watch out for it in 2 years. Yeah. So, Secret Family Recipe. There is a mention of Mother's special pancakes, but I don't think we actually see them.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how special pancakes can be. Well, no, pancakes can be pretty special. But that's
do you make pancakes? I don't have a griddle, so I really don't. I make like oven pancakes, not stovetop pancakes.
Being a full New Yorker now after many decades here, I go out and I let professionals make pancakes for me.
Fair.
Or my dad, he makes good pancakes.
Nice. Well, you got to get his secret recipe.
It's the Bisquick squeeze bottle.
Nice, good stuff.
Sorry.
Let's see. That's right. And now now that we know the secret, we must die and get sent to the North Pole. Number 3, our small business in danger. Now, I would argue he specifically says, I started this business with my partner. We left the firm to start our own business. So, this is a small business that he has these meetings for.
Yeah, I mean, it's, ad agency, independent ad agency. I guess that counts as a small business. It's not a, shop or a hardware store.
Right. But hey, it's still 1 or 2 people owning a business and trying to make it work. And failing miserably based on this movie.
Again, very prescient of the movie. They're kind of work from home. Although he goes out a lot, but I don't know where he's going. They don't have an office.
No, they couldn't afford the office.
Yeah, remote worker. He can work from anywhere.
Yes. He had a cell phone. Let's see. Number 4, product placement. Nothing I caught in this one. Number 5, a cloying child. So we talked a little bit about these kids. They're wonderfully shitty kids. I kind of liked them.
Yeah, I mean the girl, she's not cloying. She's a little more earnest than the brother, and the brother's the real bad seed because he has that late 90s, early 2000s
little spike hair. Yep.
Yeah.
The middle brother and Malcolm Middle haircut. Yeah. And this guy, I'm looking him up. He's actively worked because he looked familiar, and I meant to see if I knew him from anything. He is, again, he's been working since this movie. But, Final Destination. Oh my God. Oh my God. I am going to blow my own mind right now. I know what I know this kid from. This kid is one of my favorite film characters of all time in a scene that my husband and I reference probably once a week. This kid, actor's name is, where'd he go? There he is. Something, James Kirk. Okay, not James C. Kirk, but James Kirk. James Kirk is in Final Destination 2. Keith, have you seen Final Destination 2?
I have not.
The second best Final Destination film after Part 5. In Final Destination 2, he plays a character named Tim. And it is very clear when you watch this movie that the character of Tim was supposed to be much younger. And somebody, perhaps the studio, perhaps a director, perhaps a producer, said, you know what? I get the idea of having a little kid in danger, but we are going to kill this guy in a really ridiculous way where we are going to have him walk in a street and a giant piece of glass falls on him and splats his entire body everywhere. I don't think we can do that for a 10-year-old. So instead, they cast an older actor, but they don't change the writing of him at all. So he's kind of playing it as a man-child. And it's wonderful. And the way this guy dies is he's walking on the street with his mother. And the kid in this movie, I gathered he was supposed to be 15, maybe? We're too old to do this stuff. But there's my favorite moment, I quote this line once a week, where he is just walking outside and he looks and he sees a whole bunch of birds, like pigeons, just on the ground, and he points at them and goes, "Pigeons!" and then like runs after the birds, and then the glass falls and kills him horribly. But whenever like I'm at a loss for words, and I'm like stumbling and I can't find the right word, I just shout like "pigeons," and that's my way of like getting past something. So, best character in the movie, best character in any movie. This kid should have won an Oscar for everything in the year 2000.
Well, look at you, Once Upon a Christmas, giving us more gifts.
Oh man, yeah. Who knew that this movie starred my favorite young actor? Who knew? Indeed.
That's funny that he's an older actor playing a younger kid in Final Destination. Because in this movie, I feel like he's supposed to be an older kid who, again, like, he's a teenager, right? Like,
I thought they said he was 12, but I don't know if I made that up.
Like, this movie, and I find this in a lot of Christmas, they don't seem to know at what age kids stop believing in Santa Claus. This kid's like in 8th grade, possibly a freshman in high school, and he spends his days logging on to a
Santa
chat board to shit talk Santa Claus. And it's like in some scenes he believes in Santa, and some scenes he doesn't. So maybe he's the same character.
Oh my god! In my dreams, he is.
Like, he's just like, I don't like aging backwards, like Merlin or something.
Yeah, it's like a little Benjamin Button situation here. Yeah. Oh man, like, you know what? I take everything bad I said about this movie back. Once Upon a Christmas, greatest movie of the year 2000.
I mean, the director does have a background in horror.
Yeah. Oh boy. All right, let's see. Number 6 is a character with a holiday theme name, and obviously Rudolpha and Kristen Claus. This really bothers me. Number 7, finding the perfect tree, an oft plot point in these movies. Do we get any kind of tree stuff going on here?
They do. They have a finding a tree scene in their the murder cabin that they camp out in. But that seems more like it's about the perfect tree topper.
Yes, well, there is a tree earlier in the movie, right? It's the thing that drives Kristen away. Yeah.
Christmas trees,
because a Christmas tree killed his wife.
Yeah.
They don't say it in the movie, but that's kind of what I gathered from it.
I mean, they don't. They never really explain how the wife dies, right?
I mean, it had to be a Christmas tree.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And then let's see, number 8, ridiculously elaborate holiday cocktails. I don't think there's any drinking of any kind in this movie, but empty coffee cup acting. Maybe it's just that this movie is early in the cycle and they didn't understand that you don't have to pay for coffee, like you could just have empty coffee cups. But Kathy Ireland, like, bitch knows how to hold a cup.
Yeah.
Right?
That's funny. That actually, I was like, good cup acting.
Yeah, it's a rarity in these movies, but she pulls it off. Let's see, actors trying hard to not actually eat on camera. Now, in this case, like, they kind of deliberately don't let characters eat, right? Like, at one point, like, they're in the cabin and they're starving to death is where I took it. But because the kids have been assholes, Kathy Ireland's like, no, I'm eating my beans and you don't get to have any. And the kids are like, but I haven't eaten in 5 days. She's like, well, you should have believed in Santa. It's a...
They literally had to walk 10 feet to just get the beans themselves, and the kids are like, nah.
Well, like, they start doing that, and then they end up, in the hedge maze. So you got to forgive them for that, right?
Because Kathy Ireland does have to learn a lesson, and the lesson is to be meaner to people.
Yeah, I guess so. Which, in fairness, isn't it, like, that is something a lot of people need to know, right?
Oh, no, I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Number 11, Canadianisms. I don't know. Did you think this was filmed in Canada?
I never would have guessed it.
No doubt about it.
Definitely Denver.
Yep.
Yeah. And I don't know, there's something about the spiky kid haircut with like a kind of oversized faux leather jacket, which to me just screams Canadian production.
Yeah, I'm with you. And then last is the warm weather watch. Did you think they were cold in this movie?
Not only were they not cold at home, when they were outside freezing to death, they didn't really seem that cold either. They don't even, I think half the time they don't even put jackets on.
No, they do not. No. And like then I got worried because I'm like, wait, Canada is cold, or aren't like I'm worried that the actors actually are cold because they are very lightly dressed. But I guess if you film in July, you're okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's Once Upon a Christmas. Keith, do you recommend this movie? Who do you recommend it to?
So here's the thing. I kind of, if you're wanting to watch a pretty harmless Christmas movie, if you've got an undemanding kid or you are yourself somewhat undemanding or you just want something on the background, it is so again aggressively okay. That I think it's fine, and it has the benefit of me having watched it after my partner had watched another Christmas movie, which I'm going to call out by name.
Ooh.
Unperfect Christmas Wish.
I don't know that one.
It's relatively new. It was on TV. I wanted to burn my entire apartment. It was so bad.
Let's see.
And this film, Once Upon a Christmas, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to watch it again. I may not watch the sequel unless we do this again next year. But
just to follow up, just to see where it goes.
There's definitely worse crimes have been committed in the name of Christmas movies than this one.
Yeah, I'd agree. In some ways, the weirdness of it, the fact that it's the year 2000, the fact that you have this like very uncomfortable, disturbing North Pole sequence makes it fairly interesting. Kathy Ireland, I think, is fun to watch in this. Like, she keeps it interesting and pleasant. It's one of the only movies I've seen in a long time that has essentially star wipes for transitions, which made me really excited. And it's weird enough where if you're at that point where you're looking on the corners and you're trying to find like, I don't know, let me find some of the weirder shit or the stuff that's a little bit different. It doesn't go that far, but there's enough in it that it entertained me. Now, would it have entertained me if I wasn't sitting here taking notes in order to talk about it? I can't say that it would have, but it satisfied my purpose, I'd say.
Yeah, I don't know if it would have entertained me, but it wouldn't have angered me.
Yeah, which you run the risk of with this genre.
Oh, does one ever?
Now, obviously, I have to check out Unperfect Christmas Wish because was it Unperfect Christmas Wish? That was it?
Unperfect Christmas Wish. Mm-hmm. It's got some of the worst singing in it that I've ever heard from someone who the character is supposed to be a great singer.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, don't say I didn't warn you.
I know, but now that, man.
I'm definitely going to look forward.
Damn it just makes me curious. Well, I'll report back if I get to it. Now, Keith, when you are not, doing all-night marathons of Once and Twice Upon a Christmas, what are you up to? Where can people find you? What should they read of yours? Please tell us everything.
When I'm not watching Once Upon a Christmas, I'm rewatching Miami Vice. The TV series, which has aged remarkably well, I think.
I've never seen an episode.
Save for the occasional butt slap here and there.
Well, I mean, come on. Who amongst us doesn't still do a good butt slap?
So I write reviews and sort of pop culture commentary for a site called Suburban Pagans, suburbanpagans.com. I also just launched a newsletter, so suburbanpagans.substack.com.
Which is great stuff.
Thank you. Subscribe now. You're about to get a huge blast of classics knowledge about Greek mythology.
Love it.
Among other things. I have a book out called Cocktails and Capers, which you can get on Amazon or Barnes & Noble.
And people, I recommend the hard copy because there's recipes in there.
There are recipes, yes. There is no ebook. I've never figured out how to turn the particular layout of it into an ebook, but it's out there for all your Christmas gift giving needs. Yeah,
I can highly recommend it. I enjoy it thoroughly, and it sits on my bookshelf.
Thank you. Every time I open it up, it's a surprise to me because I've forgotten what's in it.
It's because you are actually part claws and you don't remember, but you did give up your memory and immortality in order to save that businessman from that fire.
To save some shitty little kid.
Because he had a fate in front of him, Keith. If you had not saved that kid, we would not have had the greatest sequence of all time in Final Destination 2.
That's true.
Yeah.
And finally, I'll just throw this one out there. Arrow Video has a box set called Gothic Fantastico. I do an audio video essay on it for a movie about Edgar Allan Poe and a movie called The Blancheville Monster. So pick it up if you want to give a gift, or don't pick it up. I already got paid. But no, pick it up.
Pick it up. Do your part. Pick it up, people. All right. How wonderful. With that, I am going to sprinkle some magic Kathy Ireland dust and star wipe us away. Merry Christmas.
I guarantee you no one in the world has talked this long about this movie.
Maybe like Tybor and Kathy at their first like sit down like script reading, but probably not. You're right. They probably like read half of it. They're like, we got the gist of it. Okay, great. Let's go have little cupcakes. And then that was the day.
All right. I've got whoopee cushions to deliver.
Oof. Get on that.
Oh, Kathy, my wild Iron lassie, you're not just an island to me. With your sparkling green eyes and skin alabaster, you've stolen my heart, you see.
Oh, Kathy, who squeaks with the voice of an angel, I don't think you're so big a bone. Good. I'd like to come over and roll in your clover and kiss your blarney stone.
Come on, big boy. Guys, come on.
What?
No improvising.
Sorry, I was just going with my feelings, you big mush.
Let's just skip to the chorus.
Okay.
Kathy, my soprano lassie, I'll adore you till the end of time.
It's a little predictable, isn't it, Nelson?
Come on, just do your part.
Okay. Oh.
No, in the voice.
Oh, Mikey, it's you that I likey. You're a bitch and green. With those baby blue things and the stuff that you wear. And your shoes are really choice. Sorry.
Mike, it's me, Tom. Mike, Mike, Tom here. Mike, Tom, Mike, the chorus.
What?
The chorus,
please.
Oh.
Kathy, you made me daffy. I will love you till the end of time. Oh, Kathy, compact and delicious, young Kathy, 'tis only for you that I pine. I'll make all of your enemies die for their sins, and I'll love you till movie sign. It is movie sign. Let's go.